Long before silver coins jingled in people's pockets, ancient China had a fascinating and diverse system of money. It wasn't made of precious metals like gold or silver, but from something far more common: bronze. For centuries, starting around 1000 BC in the Shang and Zhou dynasties, the Chinese used cowrie shells as an early form of currency. These beautiful shells were valuable because they came from far away. But as trade grew, a more practical and standardized form of money was needed. This led to the creation of bronze money, marking a huge leap forward in the history of commerce. These weren't round coins like we use today. Instead, they mimicked the shapes of everyday tools, linking their value directly to objects people understood and used in their daily lives. The earliest bronze money came in shapes that are quite extraordinary to us now. One of the most famous types was spade money. These small bronze objects were shaped exactly like the agricultural spades used for farming. It was a brilliant idea because everyone knew the value of a spade. Another popular form was knife money, which looked like the blades of knives. These weren't sharp enough to be used as actual weapons or tools. Their shape was purely symbolic. Holding one, you can almost feel the connection to the past, a time when the value of money was tied to the very instruments that built society. This system showed incredible ingenuity, creating a shared language of value across different states and communities. These unusual forms of money were used for hundreds of years, evolving and changing from region to region. Different states in ancient China produced their own versions of spade and knife money, each with unique inscriptions or variations in design. This made interregional trade a bit complicated, but it also tells us a lot about the fragmented political landscape of the time. Eventually, as the need for a more convenient form of currency grew, a new shape emerged: the round coin with a square hole in the middle. This design was a practical masterpiece. The round shape made the coins easy to handle, and the square hole allowed them to be strung together, making them simple to carry and count in large quantities. This transition to round bronze coins, known as cash coins, laid the foundation for China's monetary system for the next 2,000 years. It was a system built on practicality and stability. While these bronze coins were perfect for small, everyday transactions, buying food at the market, paying for a simple service, they weren't ideal for large-scale trade or for storing immense wealth. It would take a massive amount of bronze coins to pay for a shipment of silk or to store a family's fortune. This limitation set the stage for another metal to enter the story. A rarer, more precious metal was needed for the big leagues of wealth and trade: silver. The story of silver coinage in China begins with a mystery. For a long time, historians believed that silver was only used as ingots or raw material in ancient China. But a remarkable archaeological discovery changed everything. In 1974, near the city of Xi'an, archaeologists unearthed a tomb in the ancient state of Qin, dating back to before China was unified. Inside this tomb, they found something astonishing: the very first silver coins ever discovered in China. These weren't just any coins, they were silver versions of the famous Banliang coin, a type of currency that was about to become the standard for the entire empire. This was a groundbreaking find, pushing back the history of Chinese silver coins by centuries. The silver Banliang is incredibly significant, but also incredibly rare. The name Banliang translates to half a tael, which was a unit of weight. This tells us that the coin's value was based on its weight in silver, a concept that would dominate Chinese currency for millennia. These coins were likely made around the 4th century BC, during the Warring States period, a time of great conflict and innovation. The state of Qin, which would eventually conquer all its rivals, was already experimenting with new forms of administration and currency. These silver coins were probably not meant for the general public, but were more likely created for special purposes, perhaps for high-value payments to aristocrats or for important state projects. The discovery of these coins was a bombshell for historians. Before this, it was widely thought that China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, only standardized bronze coinage. While he did indeed make the bronze banliang the official currency across his new empire in 221 BC, the existence of these earlier silver versions suggests a more complex monetary experiment was underway. Why were they so rare? It's likely because silver itself was a scarce resource in ancient China. Unlike bronze, which was relatively abundant, silver had to be mined with great difficulty or imported, making it far too valuable for everyday use. Its rarity meant it was reserved for the elite. These first silver coins were a fascinating but short-lived experiment. They never went into mass circulation. Instead, they represent a tantalizing glimpse of what might have been. The Qin state chose to unify its empire with bronze currency, a practical choice for a vast population. But the idea of using silver as a high-value currency had been planted. The silver banliang may have disappeared from view, but it marked the very beginning of silver's long and epic journey in China. It was the first glimmer of a precious metal that would one day define the nation's economy and connect it to the rest of the world in ways no one could have imagined. After the brief appearance of the silver banliang, silver coins vanished from circulation for a very long time. During the mighty Qin from 221 to 206 BC and Han from 206 BC to 220 AD dynasties, which together ruled China for over 400 years, the monetary system was firmly based on bronze. The round bronze cash coin, with its distinctive square hole, was the undisputed king of the marketplace. It was the currency of the people, used for everything from buying rice to paying taxes. Silver, however, played a completely different role. It wasn't used as a tool for daily transactions, but was treated as a treasure. It was a symbol of immense wealth and power, something to be hoarded rather than spent. In the Qin and Han empires, silver was primarily used for wealth storage. The emperor, imperial family, and wealthy nobles accumulated vast quantities of it. They didn't shape it into coins, but kept it in the form of raw lumps, or more commonly, as ingots. These ingots were often shaped like small loaves or biscuits, and were stamped with information about their weight and purity. Historical records from the Han dynasty, such as the Book of Han, describe massive imperial rewards being given in jin, a unit of weight for gold and silver. These were not payments for goods, but grand gestures of favor meant to display the emperor's immense power and generosity. Silver was for the palace, not the public. This distinction between bronze for spending and silver for storing wealth was a core feature of the early Chinese economy. It created a two-tiered system. The common person might live their entire life without ever touching a piece of silver. Their financial world revolved around strings of bronze coins. For the elite, however, silver was a way to secure their fortune. It was durable, portable, and held a great deal of value in a small package. In an age of political instability, rebellions, and changing dynasties, having a stash of silver was the ultimate insurance policy. It was a form of wealth that could be hidden, transported, and would hold its value no matter which emperor sat on the throne. The use of silver as a treasure also had a profound impact on art and culture. The finest craftsmen were employed to work with this precious metal, creating exquisite objects for the imperial court and the aristocracy. Archaeologists have discovered stunning Han Dynasty artifacts made of silver, from intricate jewelry to beautiful bowls and vessels, often inlaid with gemstones. These objects weren't just decorative, they were another form of wealth storage. They showcased the owner's status and sophistication while also representing a tangible asset. So, while you wouldn't use silver to buy your groceries in ancient China, it was everywhere behind the scenes, silently underpinning the fortunes of the rich and powerful. As China entered the Tang and Song dynasties, a golden age of culture, innovation, and trade, the role of silver began to evolve. The economy was booming. Commerce was expanding rapidly along the Silk Road and maritime trade routes. Bronze cash coins were still the backbone of daily life, but for large-scale transactions, they were becoming incredibly cumbersome. Imagine trying to pay for a caravan of silk with cartloads of bronze coins. A more efficient medium of exchange was needed for big business, and silver was the perfect candidate. This era saw the rise of a uniquely Chinese form of silver currency that would dominate for nearly 1,000 years, the saici. The saici was not a coin, but a silver ingot cast into a distinctive shape. The most iconic form was the boat or saddle shape, with a flat bottom and high, curved wings on either end. The name saici comes from the Cantonese pronunciation of words meaning fine silk, possibly because the silver had a silk-like sheen or because it was used in the silk trade. These ingots were privately manufactured by smiths but were regulated by the government. Each saici was stamped with its weight, purity, the name of the smith who made it, and the location and date of its creation. This acted as a guarantee of its value, making it a trusted form of currency for merchants, bankers, and tax collectors. During the Tang and especially the Song dynasties, saici became essential for long-distance trade and for paying taxes. Merchants moving valuable goods like tea, salt, and ceramics preferred to settle their accounts with a few heavy saici rather than thousands of bronze coins. The government also found them incredibly useful. Starting in the Tang dynasty, certain taxes were required to be paid in silver. This policy, known as the two-tax system, was a major step in monetizing the economy with silver. It forced silver into circulation and established it as a primary medium for state revenue, cementing its importance in the financial system. The design of the saici was both beautiful and practical. The unique shape made it easy to handle and stack. If a smaller payment was needed, a piece could be cut off and weighed. This is why many historical saici have chop marks or cut marks on them. They were a flexible form of money, valued purely by their weight and fineness. The saici represents a crucial intermediate step in China's monetary history. It wasn't a standardized, government-minted coin, but it was far more than just a lump of raw metal. It was a trusted, regulated and widely accepted unit of high-value currency that fueled one of the most dynamic commercial periods in Chinese history. The Ming and Qing dynasties really marked the absolute peak of silver's importance in China. During this long period, silver transformed from a high-value currency for elites into, well, the very foundation of the entire Chinese economy. This dramatic shift was driven by two powerful forces: sweeping domestic tax reforms and a massive influx of silver from the outside world. China had always produced desirable goods like silk, porcelain and tea, but now a truly global trade network was emerging. European powers, especially Spain and Portugal, had discovered vast silver mines in the Americas, and they were desperate to trade that silver for Chinese luxuries. This created what historians call a silver tide that flowed from the New World through Europe and Manila and crashed upon the shores of China. In fact, historians estimate that from the 1500s to the 1800s, a huge portion of all the silver mined in the Americas ended up in China. The country effectively became a global sink for silver. This was because China had a self-sufficient economy and demanded very little from the West except for its silver. This enormous inflow of precious metal had a profound effect. It dramatically increased the money supply, fueled economic growth, and further entrenched silver's role as the primary currency for business and government. Saici ingots became the standard form for this silver, with merchants melting down foreign coins to cast them into familiar Chinese shapes. Internally, the Ming government made a pivotal decision that really locked silver into the heart of the economy. In the 1570s, the single whip reform was implemented. This was a radical simplification of the tax system, consolidating numerous complex taxes into a single payment, which had to be made in silver. This was a total game changer. Suddenly, every farmer, artisan and merchant across the vast empire needed to get their hands on silver to pay their taxes. This forced the entire population not just the wealthy, to participate in the silver economy. People had to sell their goods or labor for silver, which dramatically monetized rural life and connected every corner of the empire to the global silver trade. This system continued and was refined under the Qing dynasty. Silver saisi, measured in a unit of account called the tael, became the standard for all major financial dealings. However, this system had its problems. The tael was a unit of weight, not a standard coin, and its exact value could vary from region to region. Furthermore, the reliance on foreign silver made China's economy vulnerable to disruptions in global supply. When the flow of silver from the Americas slowed down, it could cause economic crises in China. This dependence would have major consequences. But for centuries, silver was the engine that powered the massive economy of late imperial China. By the late 19th century, the traditional Chinese currency system was facing immense pressure. The world had changed. Western powers, with their standardized machine-milled coins like the Spanish dollar and the Mexican peso, were dominating international trade. These foreign silver dollars were flowing into China and were widely accepted, sometimes even preferred, over the traditional clumsy saisi ingots. The Qing government realized it was falling behind. The lack of a nationally recognized modern coin was a disadvantage in trade and a symbol of the country's weakness. To modernize its economy and assert its sovereignty, China needed to create its own version, a milled silver dollar. The first major step in this direction came in 1889. The forward-thinking Viceroy Zhang Zhidong established a modern mint in Guangdong province, equipped with machinery imported from Britain. This mint produced China's very first machine-struck silver coin, which quickly became known as the Dragon Dollar. The design was powerful and symbolic. One side featured a magnificent coiled dragon, a potent symbol of imperial power, chasing a flaming pearl. The other side had inscriptions in both Chinese and English, stating its value and place of origin. This was a declaration to the world. China was entering the modern age of currency. The Dragon Dollar was a huge success. It was made to the same weight and fineness as the popular foreign silver dollars, which meant it could compete with them directly in the marketplace. Its standardized quality made it much more convenient than the old saisi, which had to be weighed and assayed for every transaction. Other provinces soon followed Guangdong's lead, opening their own mints and producing their own versions of the Dragon Dollar. While this led to some variation in design and quality, it rapidly popularized the use of silver dollars across the country. The coins became a symbol of modernity and a source of national pride. The introduction of the Dragon Dollar marked a pivotal moment in China's monetary history. It was the beginning of the end for the ancient saisi system that had lasted for 1,000 years. The shift from cast ingots to milled coins represented a fundamental change in how China viewed money and its place in the global economy. Although the Qing dynasty was in its final decline, the Dragon Dollar was a powerful innovation that laid the groundwork for the currency systems of the future. It was the first step on a new path, a silver bridge connecting imperial China to the modern republic that was soon to come. After the fall of the Qing dynasty in 1912, the newly formed Republic of China faced a monumental task, unifying a fragmented nation. One of the most urgent challenges was creating a stable national currency. The country was flooded with a confusing mix of provincial dragon dollars, foreign silver coins, and old saisi. To bring order to this chaos, the new government, led by President Yuan Shikai, decided to issue a single standardized silver dollar for the entire country. In 1914, the Central Mint began producing a coin that would become the most famous and widely circulated silver coin in Chinese history, the Yuan Shikai dollar. This coin is often affectionately known as the Fat Man dollar because it features a prominent side-profile portrait of the robust-looking President Yuan Shikai. This was a radical departure from traditional Chinese coin design, For thousands of years, Chinese coins had featured inscriptions and symbols, but never the image of a living ruler. The portrait style was a direct adoption of Western numismatic conventions, signaling the Republic's intention to be seen as a modern nation-state. The reverse side of the coin featured a wreath of grain, symbolizing the agricultural foundation of the nation and its hopes for prosperity. The coin's value, 1 yuan, was clearly stated, establishing a new national monetary unit. The Yuan Shikai dollar was an overwhelming success. It was produced in massive quantities at several mints across China, and its consistent weight and high silver purity quickly made it the most trusted coin in the country. It was reliable, easy to recognize, and accepted everywhere. For millions of Chinese people, from city merchants to rural farmers, the Fat Man dollar was the first truly national currency they had ever used. It circulated for decades, becoming a familiar part of daily life. Even after the government began to move away from silver, these coins remained popular and were often hoarded as a reliable store of value. The legacy of the Yuan Shikai dollar is immense. It succeeded in unifying the country's chaotic currency system and provided a period of relative monetary stability during a turbulent political era. The coin was so popular and trusted that it continued to be minted unofficially for years after its initial production run ceased. Even today, many families in China have stories of their grandparents keeping a few Fat Man dollars tucked away for a rainy day. It stands as a powerful symbol of a critical transition period, representing the Republic of China's ambitious attempt to forge a modern, unified national identity. The age of silver currency in China, which had lasted for centuries, came to a definitive end in the mid-20th century. The global economic turmoil of the 1930s, particularly the Great Depression, caused the price of silver to skyrocket on international markets. This created a crisis in China, as its silver-based currency was suddenly worth more melted down and sold abroad than it was as money at home. Vast quantities of silver began to flow out of the country, shrinking the money supply and causing severe deflation. To stop this economic hemorrhage, the nationalist government made a historic decision. In 1935, it officially abandoned the silver standard and introduced a managed paper currency called the Fapi. This was the end of silver as circulating money. The government required all silver coins and ingots to be turned in and exchanged for the new paper banknotes. While the Yuan Shikai dollar had been a symbol of stability, the new Fapi would become a symbol of hyperinflation, especially during the long and brutal years of the Second Sino-Japanese War and the subsequent Chinese Civil War. People who had once trusted the solid weight of silver in their hands now saw their savings evaporate as the government printed more and more paper money. This experience left a deep-seated cultural memory, reinforcing the idea of precious metals as a true store of value. After the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949, the new government solidified the move away from silver. It introduced the renminbi, or RMB, as the sole legal tender, a purely fiat currency controlled by the central bank. The era of silver coins for daily use was officially over. Old silver dollars were taken out of circulation and melted down, their metal repurposed for industrial or other uses. For the first time in modern history, the Chinese economy would operate entirely without a direct link to the precious metal that had shaped its destiny for so long. The silver journey from rare Qin Ban Liang to the ubiquitous Fat Man dollar had concluded. Today, silver's role in Chinese currency has been reborn in a different form. It is no longer money for the marketplace, but for the collector and the investor. The People's Bank of China issues a stunning array of commemorative silver coins, celebrating everything from the Chinese zodiac and historical anniversaries to the beloved panda. These modern coins, like the famous Silver Panda series, are prized worldwide for their beautiful designs and high purity. They are a nod to China's deep historical connection with the precious metal, continuing the legacy of silver not as a tool of commerce, but as a store of value and a work of art.